right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. But today on the show, it's not an episode of Piecing It Together. What I'm actually doing is resharing a conversation I had over on LA Podfidential with host Chauncey Telese, who's been here on Piecing It Together a bunch of times in the past. We took a look forward to some movies coming in 2024. This is our conversation about the most anticipated movies of 2024. We get into a bunch of great stuff. We've done this a few times in the past. We did one for the fall, we did one for 2023 in general, and we're back to talk about what we are looking forward to in this new year of movies. I'm sure we'll end up covering a bunch of these movies on the show throughout the year. We have a fun conversation. So that is coming up here in a second. Again, this is actually an episode of LA Podfidential, not an episode of Piecing It Together. So if you like what you hear, go check out LA Podfidential, give them a follow, a subscribe. You can find them wherever you listen to Piecing It Together. You can find them on all the socials, all that stuff too. There will be a link down in the show notes. And with that said, let's get to this conversation from LA Podfidential about our most anticipated movies of 2024.
Welcome back to another episode of LA Podfidential. My name is Chauncey Telese, and I write for the playoff band LA Rams at LAFBnetwork.com. It's a fantastic website. Like and subscribe. We are brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy, your number one source for daily fantasy. Use code LAPOD for up to $100 off your first deposit. Anyway, we have a very special episode. It's the end of the year, of course, and that means 2024 is around the corner. And it wouldn't be 2024 yet without our good friend Dave Rosen from Piecing It Together to preview our top anticipated 2024 movies. David, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to yet another awesome movie year.
I know. This is a fantastic movie year, like a beyond fantastic movie year.
It really has been. And like one thing I was thinking though, like there's not a lot of 5 stars. That's the only thing. Like there's been so many 4-star movies, which are great. Don't get me wrong. And I'm so excited about 4-star movies. Not a lot of 5-star movies. So we'll see how 2024 is for that. But it's been a great year no matter what.
I mean, I'm behind in a lot of stuff, so like I'm just gonna smile and nod. Like there's like a bunch. Like I still haven't seen Flower Moon. I still haven't seen like Iron Claw. I still haven't seen Poor Things. There's like a ton of stuff on my list that I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait for streaming because there's no way I'm getting to a theater for it because life.
Yeah.
Like
they backload it so much. It's like ridiculous.
Like I did my best. The last thing I saw in theaters was Next Goal Wins, which was on my list for last year. So like that was an accomplishment.
Yeah.
To a very
which I haven't seen, by the way.
You know, it's for me it's like a 3-star. It's like it's good, but like should be way better. Like you can see if you know like where like the stuff's edited around. You're like, oh, okay, I can see where this movie was recut a lot.
Yeah,
and like there's a better sports movie here, and it just never gets there. But it's charming. Like the cast is very charming.
Right on.
Anyways, all right. No, but yeah, we don't have a COVID year. We have a couple movies that are punted to the strike, but like other than that, like we have a kind of a full boat this year, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good point because like, yeah, I mean, we were still dealing with the after effects of the pandemic and then we had the strikes, and this year it's kind of like this upcoming year there's just going to be a constant stream of stuff, it seems like.
It's a big reset. There's a lot of stuff we don't know that's coming out, like Tarantino's movie might be for at the end of the year, but I didn't include that because I'm not sure yet because there isn't even a cast announced or he's not shooting it yet, so I don't know. It's listed as 2024, but shrug.
I for the most part only picked things that are like for sure coming out.
Me too.
You know, barring any kind of weird shit, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, me too. I'm like, okay, if it has a set theatrical date, then I'm going to put it on here. Everything else is speculative until we know further, and could be at our second, like our end of the year, or the back half of the year list. So there we go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, before we begin, do you have any honorable mentions you'd like to make? Like what didn't make the cut?
So 2 of them. First of all, I didn't want to include it because I think it's been on my last 2 of these lists that we've done. But Jeff Nichols, the bike rider, still is not out. Yeah, it's coming in June, allegedly, unless something delays it yet again.
Focus said it's coming in June. I trust Focus.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll do it right. I mean, it really sucks that it kept getting pushed around, but We'll see. I'm excited for it. The other honorable mention that I didn't want to include on my list because it's coming out in just a couple of weeks. It's at the very beginning of January. The Beekeeper. This is the new
Oh,
Jason Statham movie, directed by David Ayer, who I'm not really a big David Ayer fan. I'm not even
me
really a
neither.
huge Jason Statham fan. Like I like some of his stuff, but not all of it. But I think this movie looks dialed in to the exact kind of ridiculous that I want out of a Jason Statham movie. And I'm so excited for it. And I haven't announced this anywhere yet, but it will be our next live show of Piecing It Together. So I'm
Oh,
super excited to do this one.
that's a very appropriate live show. What now for
Yes.
our listeners? What's the premise of this?
Okay, so the premise of the Beekeeper is that this company that is basically a phishing scam company, uh, they steal the wrong old woman's money. She kills herself, I believe, because all of her money is gone. And she was
Hmm?
really good friends with Jason Statham, who's just a lowly beekeeper, or is he? And
Mhm.
he is going to, according to this trailer, is going to take out an entire company that is just their whole thing is fishing and stealing money from unsuspecting people. So, if anybody deserves to get just absolutely obliterated by a bald guy, it's fishing scam people.
This is also the exact kind of thing David Ayer should be doing. Like, I know he has higher ambitions, as was seen with like Fury and Suicide Squad, but like this is the exact mode he should be working in. Like, I'm sorry, like
Yes,
that's like End of Watch was like the more serious version of what he should be doing. This is exactly what he should be doing. Just B-level action movies. It's fine.
exactly,
Own it. Own it. It's fine.
exactly.
Okay. What's your other one? Oh, your bike riders and beekeeper, right?
Yes, those are my two honorable mentions to kick it off with.
All right, Bike Riders is mine too, because like I know it's coming out, and I think it's for the best in process. And I think honestly, I think that Iron Claw should have punted too.
Mm, probably.
Like it really feels like it would have been the best thing for it, because like Bike Riders was gonna get crowded out anyway.
Yeah,
With all the 2023 movies, and I think Iron Claw's getting squeezed out too, when it feels like it shouldn't be.
yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right about that. Iron Claw is so good, by the way. But yeah, it's a movie that
So
people are just gonna
jealous.
miss out on.
Right, and it's gonna hit like a show, or no, it's gonna hit HBO Max in like May or June or whatever, and it's like by then it's like, oh, I remember this movie was cool. I didn't even talk about Iron Claw. It's like, we had you. I know
Yeah,
A24 has bigger fish to fry, but like I don't understand why. Just make this either a Sundance premiere or a Cannes premiere, and then just like try it for 2024, because like the awards race there is very, very unclear as of this point.
yeah.
There's no Fablemans, there's no Flower Moon, there's no Oppenheimer, there's no nothing like that lurking that we know of right now.
Yeah, if nothing else, they could have easily gotten Zac Efron in the conversation if they put this out a month or two earlier.
Right, exactly. Him or even Holt McClany, like
Yeah,
that. Like that
he's
seems
great
like
too.
those would have been the plays.
Yeah,
And yeah, so like I don't understand why they didn't do that. I think they thought there was a commercial play there, but I think they misfired, and
yeah,
to the
I do
detriment
too.
of that movie, which is a bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well let's get started. What's your number five?
Number 5, Mickey 17, coming
Ooh, it's
on
my number
March
two.
29th. Is it really? Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit I haven't seen a lot of Bong Joon-ho stuff. Obviously Parasite, but I haven't seen much of his other films.
Mm,
But this sounds, I should say, not looks, because we haven't really seen much from it, but
mhm,
sounds just really, really cool. It sounds a lot like Duncan Jones' Moon. But this is
mm,
starring Robert Pattinson. Also a
I
great cast.
Yeah, and no, I don't think it'll be more like Moon, because there's a full cast around, whereas Moon is just Sam Rockwell and Frank Underwood on voiceover. But
Sure.
and I know it's probably, and it seems more like a Michael, like a Robert Pattinson playing multiple versions of Mickey, hence like Mickey 17.
Sure.
And with his movies, there's always like a social allegory. So I'm wondering what this one is. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
Parasite's about like poverty, the host is about like environment and whatnot. Okja is about us eating meat.
Yeah.
stuff like that. I'm wondering what this one's going to be. But who else is in this cast?
We also have Mark Ruffalo, Tony Collette, Stephen Yun. Um, those were the three that I wrote down, but I know it's like a stacked cast all around though. And yeah, I mean, really the main thing, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it's getting Robert Pattinson back. He's been a very busy guy being the Batman for the last few years, and we haven't had like a good, weird Robert Pattinson movie in a little while.
You mean since Tenet?
Does Tenet count? I mean, it's weird, but it's still just a Nolan movie. I mean, I want something weird. I want something I could sink my teeth into.
Well, I heard his performance in The Boy and the Heron is very weird.
That is a good example. You're absolutely right. That is a good example of weird Pattinson. So I guess we're getting back to back good Pattinson.
I don't think Batman's really held him up that much because there's only been one of them, and he filmed it basically during COVID, mostly during COVID.
I feel like it's been a while. I don't know. I feel like it's been at least 3 years. 2020, like at least since then. Last thing I could think of that was like what I want to see out of him, and it wasn't really a great movie, but what was that one in the South where he was like a preacher? He was just a supporting character.
The Devil All the Time?
The Devil All the Time, yeah. That was 2020, I believe. Yeah, that's the last time I got like a good, meaty, weird Pattinson. That's what I want.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, The Lighthouse was 2019, and the Devil was like 2020.
That's what I'm looking for. Let's get some more Lighthouse going.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I want to see him do weird. I want to see what Bong does with like a full Hollywood system behind him because this is a Warner Brothers movie, and this was teased during the Batman. Like people kind of forget it was like a teaser. It's like, oh, 2024, that's weird. Like Bong's calling his shot now. And we get closer and like I was a little concerned. I thought it was gonna be a strike movie. Because like I'm like, oh, there's no way like, they're not gonna do anything. I would have expected a teaser, another trailer by now, like with Aquaman or with Wonka or with with Dune, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure. Like I thought that was gonna be the play, and then there hasn't been anything. So I'm just like, that's odd that there hasn't been any more marketing for this. But I'm super excited for it because I know very little about it except that this is Bong's blank check.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be good and weird, and can't wait for it.
Me too. Okay, well, my number 5 is Inside Out 2.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I got a stump for Pixar a little bit, but I'm very curious about this one because it's one thing to do a sequel to a beloved movie, and it's another where it's a whole new creative team. This time, it's an all female driven creative team, which was a criticism of the first one. So Pete Docter's handing the reins off, and now they're adding in new because it's Riley's turning 13, so she's going to be experiencing new emotions. One of which is social anxiety, voiced by Rachel Bloom, I believe. Is it Rachel Bloom? Hold on, let me look that up. But I'm curious how this is going to go because Pixar sequels can be very hit or miss, as we know.
Sure.
And especially with the bar as high as this one, because Inside Out 1 was A, an Oscar winner, and B, a mega hit, and also just a beloved movie.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maya Hawke's social anxiety. My bad.
Okay. Yeah. Right on.
Mm-hmm. And and they haven't revealed who the other new emotions are going to be. But I'm just very curious to see how they do it almost 10 years later. And Pixar is also in a very interesting place.
They are. That's like kind of the main thing here because and it's not that their movies haven't been good. They've been great. They just haven't been doing very well. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if, obviously we complain about sequels all the time and stuff, but like they need a hit. They really do. And so it'll be interesting to see.
I know, like Elemental legally is a hit, but it doesn't have that perception on it. And a lot of people just didn't like it, which I find ridiculous, but whatever. I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And and they this is a reset the narrative kind of movie too. I have another movie on this list that's also a reset the narrative. I want to see how they do it kind of thing. But it's because what's weird is like, yeah, you're right. The movies have been good. It's just like they get a mulligan for Soul because it's 2020. No one knew what they were doing. It's fine. But Luca onward, you're like, well, what are we doing here? Like Luca should have been in theaters. Turning Red would have made bank in theaters. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you. And then, I mean, Lightyear was probably going to be whatever Lightyear was, and then, but that just created a whole stink. Like the Disney Plus thing didn't work out for them, and now they're releasing all 3 of those movies in theaters.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you think that's gonna work for them? Do you think people are gonna go see that?
It depends on the weekend, and I'm sure they'll do okay. Like they won't put up like opening weekend numbers because people have most likely seen it on Plus already. But like I'm
Sure.
sure there'll be a decent turnout, like
Yeah.
better than you'd think. For some of these.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe going to see Soul. We'll see.
Oh my god, like Soul on the big screen. I can only imagine because you've seen it, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, like especially like the ending where he has his epiphany. Like, okay, that would have looked amazing on a gigantic screen.
Yeah. Talk about the weird that I'm looking for. There you go.
I think they'll do okay. Like they won't open number 1, but it'll probably be like top 5 and like just kind of chug along for a few weeks if there's nothing in the middle, because I don't think there's a whole lot of kid stuff. And then they punted Elio to 2025, which I'm curious about, but that won't be this year.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what's show number 4?
Number 4 is Furiosa.
That is also my number 4.
Is it? Nice. May 24th, George Miller, of course. I'm not the biggest Fury Road or Mad Max fan. Like, don't get me wrong, Fury Road's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But I didn't I didn't go nuts for it like most people did. Even though it's freaking great. But I was so in love with 3,000 Years of Longing, which I know everybody did not really like very much. And so I am just in for whatever George Miller wants to do here. I love Anya Taylor-Joy, so I think that she's a great pick to play a younger version of the Furiosa character. And Chris Hemsworth looks so great in this role, this villain role. I think he looks so excitingly fun and like just crazy. And I'm really looking forward to this character.
So my big hobby horse from the 2010s, and it's a hill it's a hill I'll die on until the end of time, is that the American audience has failed Chris Hemsworth as a movie star.
Right,
because
sure.
people complain, oh, all he does is Thor. It's like, hey, you know what? The guy's trying to branch out a lot, and none of you showed up. Rush, he's phenomenal in. Bad Times at El Royale, he's phenomenal in. Ghostbusters, Vacation. I mean, I didn't like In the Heart of the Sea, but he's really good in it. He's put up a lot of like good performances outside of Thor, and nobody went to go see them, which is why he's doing a lot of the stuff he does now. Black Hat, not a movie I'm a huge fan of, but like, hey, he tried working with Michael Mann. Like he tried doing the thing people complain that Marvel people don't get to do, and what happened? People just turned a blind eye.
Yeah.
And that's why he's done Thor so many times, and he'll probably be back for a 5th one. That's on you, American audiences. I blame squarely on you, the viewer.
Yeah.
And this is a good chance to reset the narrative again,
Yeah.
He looks like he's having a ball. George Miller, it looks like the kind of director he absolutely needs to be working with. And George Miller's career is so fun to me because even though he can be considered an auteur, he's done a lot of sequels, Mad Max, Babe, and Happy Feet. And, he's been wanting to do Furiosa forever. So this isn't the, oh, crap, 3,000 Years of Longing bomb I need to hit. This is something he really wants to do. He marches to the beat of his own drum. Like, he doesn't do Mad Max just because, I need to go back to the well. It's like, I have an idea. And he said this isn't going to be a chase movie like Fury Road. So I'm very curious how that's going to go. And I don't care if we know where it's going. I just want to see him do some crazy action stuff, which is his big trademark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. And also I might as well add, I know a lot of people online were bitching about the special effects. I think it looks great.
I have a theory on that. Like, I really think people are just kind of mad that it exists on principle, even though they've been asking for it for 10 years.
They just can't register.
It's like, oh, cool. No, it's like, oh, well, I'm tired of all this IP CGI garbage, and like, fine, we've been inundated with that over the last 10 years, but like, this is George Miller. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, if there's one thing you can never complain about a George Miller movie, it is that it's poorly made. Like, it's not, it's not and by the way, like, as for all the praise Fury Road got for its practical effects, like, there was a ton of CG in it too, obviously. Like, don't be stupid. Like, it's
Right.
gonna look
Totally.
better by the time May rolls around, but I just think people are mad about it on principle, not so much the
Mm.
quality or anything. It's just we're tired of all these franchises that won't die. We want original stuff, even though we won't really go see it. You know, film Twitter BS.
People don't know what they want.
They don't know what they want, and even when they say they do, it's like the public turns to like, "We'll see." That's why we get sequels. Like, no, it's just what the people want. And even when sequels bomb, it's like nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
And I always trust George Miller. Like, never bet against George Miller. I know 3,000 Years of Longing didn't do well, but the people that like it love it.
That's me.
Yeah. I honestly haven't had a chance to see it. I think it's still streaming on Stars.
Watch it. Watch it. I'd love to hear what you
I
think
know
of
I
it.
want to. I know I want to. It's one of those I was super excited when I saw the trailer, and then like after it didn't do well at Cannes and WB just kind of buried it. I lost track, and then my son was born around then, so I'm like I really lost sight of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what's your number 3? Because I already did my number 4.
So I guess I lied. I do have one that doesn't have a date, although I'm sure it's going to be coming out. This one was delayed because of the SAG-AFTRA strike,
Mm-hmm.
but looked amazing. And I know some people saw it because it did have a festival premiere. It's A24's Problemista from Julio
Oh,
Torres.
which one's this?
This is this weird movie. I'm not quite sure what like story-wise what it's about, except for that it's about artists.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like something that like Michel Gondry would have made in like the mid 2000s. And
I know this one. He's the
okay,
SNL
yeah.
guy. He's the SNL guy.
I think you're right. Yeah, I
He
didn't realize that.
directed.
I didn't write
I
that
remember
down,
he
but
used to do shorts for SNL. I remember he did a bunch. The one I remember offhand is Monsters with James Franco.
okay. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of those. He's like everyone's like, oh, this is like those Albert Brooks shorts or whatever, like or Schiller Vision. These are like real things.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, it just looks like so much personality and creativity and strangeness and just a fresh, unique point of view. This movie, like, not to be like A24 fanboy nerd out here, but like
No.
there was a moment like 4 or 5 years ago or something where every time a new A24 trailer dropped, it was like Christmas. It was like,
Mm,
oh my God, here is this amazing breath of fresh air of a new film. And I can't wait. My whole life is leading up to whatever this release date is. And I haven't felt that in a while. Like they've put out some great movies, but most of them have not been like, oh, I cannot wait to see that. It's just like, oh, that looks good. I'll see it when it comes out. When
sure.
I saw this trailer, probably around October-ish, I think. Well,
Yeah.
maybe it was a little earlier than that, but when I saw the trailer, I was just like, this is exactly the feeling I used to get from these trailers from A24. And then, of course, it went and got delayed. So I'm sure that it's going to be coming out like in the first half of the year. It's just they haven't set a date yet.
Yeah, it seems like they might even premiere or not premiere because I already think it premiered it was either Venice or Toronto because I know
It was one of them.
somebody I follow did see it or
Yeah.
there were reactions coming out of it, but I don't remember which festival because they all run together. But this seems like the kind of movie that would play at South by.
I thought so too. I think that would be a perfect place for it to like reintroduce it or
Mhm.
something if they do try
They
to do something like that.
It sounds like it relaunch at South by, and it looks cool. And he has a really unique voice. Like if he watches, I think if his SNL shorts are on YouTube, I would check those out because like there's a real vision there. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't know what this person's gonna be, but he's gonna be something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Can't wait.
All right, my number 3. It's more of it's not morbid curiosity. I want to know how they land this and change the narrative. But Deadpool 3.
Mm, sure.
It's one of those. I'm just, you know what, man? I'm very curious because this is the first time in a long time Marvel's ever been down this hard.
Yeah,
And
sure.
like you would have, it's like the ending of Return of the Jedi as far as film Twitter is concerned. Which is I'm like, all right, like you've been waiting for it forever. I know you're happy, but like I'm very curious if Deadpool 3 can like again reset the narrative, give them the reboot they need for the Secret Wars leading into X-Men and all that, then maybe they do right the ship or they don't, and this is really is all over, and these will just be not niche but like lower tier blockbusters that just come out like once or twice a year, and it's still fine. It just the expectations and the level of hold on the culture are gone. which isn't a
Right.
bad thing, a bad place to be. That's the natural cycle of things. I'm just very curious if they do, if the whole like here's what happens with the death of, because the whole thing's about the death of the Fox universe and him going through, all the old X-Men, the Fantastic Fours and such. Like they have the Fox
Yeah.
logo, like they have this that picture of the broken down Fox logo. So there's gonna be a lot of that. So I'm like, okay, if they can really
Yeah.
give it a hard R and let them just have as much fun with it as possible and poke fun at stuff that didn't work, because I'm sure they are, then we'll see. Like I want to see if they can get their mojo back.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The thing that I'm worried about with this movie, because I love the first two
Everything.
Deadpools. Wait, what was that?
Everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the thing that I'm worried is that it leans too hard on the whole Fox thing, because as a casual superhero fan, I don't
Mm,
even know if I've seen all of the X-Men movies. Like
you don't
I
have to.
saw most of them, but like it's the MCU is what like the casuals like me who just kind of got
Mhm.
locked in came for, you know? So if people like me aren't like gonna feel like we have any clue what's going on because we don't know these characters, that might be a bit rough for it.
I think the good news is Deadpool is the kind of thing where it'll like take that into consideration. Like you mean, like, I know like Famke Janssen will show up, Halle Berry will probably show up. Like you'll recognize them,
Hmm.
and there'll be jokes about it, like, oh, you're the other thing. No, not you. Like like if Michael Chiklis shows up and also like what's his face, Jamie Bell. Like if they do like that kind of thing, like they'll make fun of it and they'll understand that it's for the casuals. Like
Yeah,
this is a
yeah,
good clean slate for casual people. You
yeah.
know,
Well,
because
I'm hopeful. I'm
I
hopeful.
guarantee you it's gonna be this is for the casuals. This is just gonna be us having fun. The real highlight is Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman back together again. There's gonna be jokes about the original X-Men Origins, Wade Wilson, of
Sure.
course.
Yeah.
Like, and also what's Matthew McFadden's in it, I believe, in some role. So I'm curious what that's gonna be.
Mm,
You're
mm.
gonna get a Professor X. You're gonna get a Magneto cameo. I'm sure. Like it's gonna be an all star game. You don't need to know much. Like you'll know surface level stuff, and then Deadpool just joke about the rest of it.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And we're real movie fans. We don't root against anything. So I'm
No,
hopeful. I'm
I want it
hopeful.
to be fun. Like Sean Levy, like fine. Like I get it.
Eh,
He and Ryan Reynolds are friends, and I understand. Like, but okay, let's see what Sean Levy does with an R-rated action movie that's mostly going to be written the day of. I want to see. I'm curious.
yeah, for sure.
Because I like the first two Deadpool. Let's see if they can bring this home and give the MC the shot in the arm it needs.
Definitely.
Because this is like their first big thing. If this doesn't work, then whatever they got planned for the X-Men and the Fantastic Four ain't gonna matter.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna have to completely redo it all, like
And they're already
from
having to
scratch.
redo their other big villain because they fired him,
Hmm.
yeah, on Sunday.
Oh
So
yeah.
this is like okay, let's see it. Can you get your mojo back? I'm curious. All right, what's your number two?
All right. Number two is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh my god. That's my number
Is
two
it?
as well.
Yeah, hell yeah. We're
Which means we have
simpatico
the same
today.
number one. I guarantee you have the same number one.
I wonder. We'll see. I have a feeling we don't actually, but we'll see. But
Oh.
yeah. So, but yeah, May 24th. This is the very smart decision since Matt Reeves is not returning. The very smart decision, I think, to basically continue the story just at a different time in the
Mm-hmm.
future of this world.
300 years.
Yeah, 300 years. Those three movies, though, the previous trilogy are just inexplicably the best blockbusters of like the last decade. They're so good, and I really am just excited to see if they can continue that. It's going to be such a hard task. I don't know if Wes Ball is up for it. I've never actually seen the Maze Runner movies,
I saw the
but
first two. My wife was into them. They're okay. Like they're solid. The
yeah,
third one, I give a mulligan because I think that's the one with the accident.
okay. See, I don't even know anything about it, but
Oh,
all I
was
know is they gave this guy the keys to the Legend of Zelda for probably I don't know 2026, 2027. I don't know when that's coming,
I mean,
but
sure.
That the fact that that's happening, like, especially makes me think somebody thinks this guy knows what he's doing. So hopefully, and then actually the day that we're recording right now, it was just mentioned. I don't know who it was exactly that said this, but that Apocalypto is like an inspiration for this movie, and that has me like super excited.
Okay, yeah, that's a great choice. If you're
Yeah,
gonna pull from anything, pull from one of the low key best action movies of the 2000s.
absolutely.
Um, I mean, gee, I wonder why we don't talk about that movie more. But
Yes, yeah, I
no,
wonder.
no, the first two Maze Runners are pretty solid, actually. Like I remember, I think we were watching them when my wife was pregnant with our first kid, because they were on HBO, and they're pretty good.
Hmm.
Like a solid understanding for action and world building, like Westball has it. The third one, I don't know what happened there. Just I know Logan Lerman got hurt on like doing a motorcycle stunt. Like it was like horrific, and they
Okay.
shut down. It was one of those.
Mm.
But I don't think that's his fault. I forget what else he's done, but like those two, I would look at and go, okay, like I could see what he would do with an Apes movie, and
Hey,
by
CGI
extension,
apes can't get hurt, so that helps.
that's true. That is true. No, I really the first teaser I was like, okay, there's something here. This isn't just a cash grab, and we're trying to like um leech off of what Matt Reeves did. This looks like something wholly like new. Like there's a
Yeah,
world here. It's not just a rehash of stuff. And I'm very curious what this is going to turn out to be. And if Westball can make it happen, I'm all for it, man.
yeah, absolutely. I really hope that he does something, special that stands on its own 2 feet, but does continue to build off of
It
Matt
says
Reeves'
it's set
trilogy.
up a trilogy.
Yeah,
Well, it's not really. I mean, hold on, Rupert Wyatt erasure. You forget. Matt Reeves didn't direct the first one.
that's right. He didn't do the first one, but yeah, yeah,
Tough beat for Rupert Wyatt, the forgotten player in that because if that movie doesn't work, you don't get the Matt Reeves movies.
that's true.
And
Absolutely right.
I mean that one. I mean that whole trilogy is a miracle, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
because remember, I don't know if you remember, but like when I remember seeing the first teaser for Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I'm like, this looks stupid. Like Franco's in an ape movie, like this ape is company property. I'm like, that's all right. What are we doing here? And then everyone's like,
yeah.
no, this is actually good. And I remember renting, like, oh wow, this actually is pretty good. All right, there's
Hmm.
something here. And then we saw the Matt Reeves one, and like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. It was just each one was just more surprising than the last, and that doesn't
Mhm.
happen with trilogies ever. Like,
No, they're all very consistent. Circus was totally a game for everything, and all the humans do their part. Like Jason Clarke was great. I mean, you're never gonna get a sequence in a blockbuster. I don't think like the take a load off Annie scene in the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Like that's special.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, what's your number one?
All right, number one, Godzilla X Kong: The New
Oh,
Empire.
wow, I'm surprised I didn't put this on my list because I love Godzilla, but like that trailer did not do it for me, and it was one of those that like, raised a lot of concerns in me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I have it on my list because I love King Kong, not Godzilla. But
Mm.
Team Kong all the way. But I will admit the trailer didn't exactly spark a lot of excitement in me. Like it's not the best trailer, except for that one shot of them running. That's awesome. But I'm a little worried based on the trailer, but at the same time, Adam Wingard, who is somebody who I've never even seen his other movies, his horror films and like whatever else he had done that got him
Was
Godzilla
he?
versus Kong.
Was
What's that?
he?
What was
No.
it called?
Was he? Was he? He's not the. He's not the guest. That was.
I think it is
That
The
was.
Guest.
Is it okay? Because I thought that was the one who did King of the Monsters, or is it the same? Or did he come back for it?
Let's see. Adam
You drove me nuts.
Wingard did no, yeah, he did The Guest. The Guest and You're
Okay,
Next. Yeah.
there we go.
So
And then
which
the guy who did King of the Monsters, did Krampus. Am I wrong on that? Sorry,
that sounds right. I'm not 100% sure though.
because Weingart also did Kong versus Godzilla, right?
Right, right. And that's why so Michael Dougherty, that's who did King of the Monsters. He did Trick or Treat and Krampus. So yeah.
There we go.
So,
I knew. Okay,
so that's
I
where
knew it
we're
was one
at
of those
there.
guys. All right, sorry.
But yeah,
Move on.
Adam Wingard though, he proved that he gets why someone like me wants to see Godzilla and King Kong team up in a movie. He gets what's inherently fun about these giant
Mhm.
monsters just destroying everything and destroying each other. And we all knew going into Godzilla versus Kong that they would eventually have to team up to fight a bigger threat. Like that was obviously where a versus movie was going to go.
Sure.
Now we're there, and now we can just go insane from that point forward. I hope it's just total batshit. I think it will be. I'm so excited. Like I said, Team Kong all the way. But
I
if
think the
they're gonna
problem is
work together, sure.
I think the problem is I think the villain's gonna suck. That's my only concern. I'm like, is it just like an evil version of Kong, or is that what we're doing? We're just doing King Kong Escapes, which is what I don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen King Kong Escapes?
A million years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, where it ends up like okay, like it's basically like King Kong versus Mega Godzilla kind of thing. Like there's just a robot Kong he has to defeat. I'm like, is that what we're
Right.
doing again? Like, give me something cool, man. Give me like Space Godzilla. Give me Gigan. Give me like
I
some other
mean,
threat. It's just like I need a better villain. That's my only concern. Like these things are only kind of live and die by their villains. Like King of the Monsters ruled because you got Ghidra, you got and you had Rodan.
mhm.
You
See,
know,
and again, I'm as a Kong guy. I want to see King Kong kick some ass.
I
That's what I
know
want to see.
Skull Island rules. Don't get me wrong. I just like, but Skull Island had some really cool monsters. I'm just
Yeah.
worried this won't.
Well, they're going to be going back, into that, the inner Earth or the Hollow Earth or
All over.
whatever. So it's going to
I
be
know.
it's going to be a whole Jurassic Park full of monsters, basically
Good.
under
Give me
there.
those. I just need to. It's like Skull Island. Once I knew, like, we have multiple monsters. We have a spider. We have an octopus. We have bugs. We have a giant water buffalo. We have this and that. Cool.
They'll
Give me
all
all.
be there.
Show me. Yeah. Show me the monsters. That's all. That's all I want to know.
They'll be
And
there. I'm
wait,
sure of it.
do you watch Monarch?
I haven't. No, I
Oh,
want to. I do want to.
let me tell you this. It's so funny because like from the pilot, I'm like, oh, well, this is what Marvel should have been doing with their Disney Plus shows. Like
Mm,
this is it really it because like you get monsters every episode. They don't skip out on monsters, but like the story's actually pretty solid. Like it's a it's not a scavenger hunt show, but kind of like we got to find our dad kind of thing. But Wyatt Russell playing the younger version of Kurt Russell is so good. Like they because they go back and forth in time a lot.
yeah.
And it didn't occur to me that the other main character is who grows up to be John Goodman. And I was like, oh, that makes sense
All right. All
because he's in
right.
the very beginning of the pilot. Like they takes place during Skull Island, like the very beginning of the pilot.
I don't make enough time for
Oh,
enough TV, but I
oh,
if I watch anything, it'll
this
probably
is
be that.
it's a pretty good show, man. Like they're all like actual episodes of television. Doesn't feel like a 10 episode movie. You
Yeah.
get plenty of Godzilla, and like I said, the Wyatt Kurt Russell casting is so smart. Like it's so
Nice.
well done, and you're just like, God, like it's like John David Washington. You're like, I can't believe you weren't created in a test tube. This is incredible. Because
Yeah.
like Wyatt's got the young Kurt Russell swag, and like the voice is kind of there,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like obviously they're related, but you're like, you believe it. Like it makes total sense. Like he's got the Kurt Russell mannerisms down, and it's fantastic. And he looks good in like a '50s army uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Like,
I can't wait.
yeah, it's so fun. I promise you, it's worth your time. I think it's 10 episodes, and this week is going to be episode 7. And
All
I'm
right.
really curious to see where it goes.
Right on.
All right. Well, my number one, I guess it shouldn't surprise you. We're going back to Arrakis, baby.
I
Dune.
figured. Yep.
Well, I couldn't keep it off this list. Somebody had to say it. Dune Part 2. We were supposed to get it in November, and they just decided not to because they couldn't put Timothy Chalamet and company out in force because the strike hadn't settled yet. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least Timothy got to be around for Wonka and whatever. But I guess it was sort of smart because now they're like, I don't know what they're competing who's competing against them in any craft category next year, at least.
Right.
And possibly best director. We'll see if Denis Villeneuve gets to level up there. But look, they've shown a lot of trailers, and the one scene I'm like, this is all I wanted was them all riding the sandworms.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they hadn't shown me that, but I'm like, oh, that's gonna look so cool.
Yeah,
Like,
they had to prove that it's actually coming because the first one, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, and I love Denis Villeneuve, but it's a little slow. So I know all the action's coming in the second half. So
Yeah, and my only fear though is if it does too well, because like, they already want to do Dune Messiah. Even though he said, "Oh, I want to do that movie before then," I'm like, "Uh-oh, is this gonna be your Middle Earth? Like, are we gonna
Mm,
in like 5 years be like, Jesus Christ, Denis, get out of Arrakis? Like we've had it with this."
I'm
Because there's a lot
worried.
of Dune books. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
Dune books.
worried because he's a great filmmaker. But I don't want just Dunes for the rest of my life from him.
I know,
But
and I know people say, like, "Oh, I could see this. I could see this every 3 years." I'm like, "You're not gonna say that soon. We do this every time. Like, it's
yeah.
gonna be fun for the first 2 or 3, and then you're gonna get real sick of it." Um,
Hmm.
because especially
Yeah.
they're still doing the TV show, which she's gonna do the pilot for allegedly. And if there's gonna be like 2 or 3 more Dunes, because I think, God, I don't know if because I don't know that they're even finishing the first book with this one. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I've only read Dune once, and it was a long time ago. And that thing is like, like it's dense. I don't. Have you ever read Dune?
No, no. I did watch the Lynch movie though
Oh, don't.
a
Yeah, that's
couple years
nothing to do.
ago. I,
But
I
yeah,
actually I actually like that movie. I think it's fun.
I know. It's just that's like I remember reading the book and just because I got recommended my co-host to read it, and he like about like quarter of the way through, he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
Like I believe you that it's cool, but I can't do this. This is a lot.
it's a lot. Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, if they don't finish the book here, like if this isn't a definitive ending, that's gonna be a real problem. You know, like if it's like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
we're going to lead up to part three. Like I can see the bloom coming off the rose real quick with this, even though it's going to be visually stunning and all the actors are going to be super game. Like Austin Butler and Christopher Walken, I'm super pumped for, and Florence Pugh. Although I know her part's small, I'm just curious to see what everybody brings.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, great cast, of course. And I'll be there opening night. I can't wait.
I hope I am. I really want to be. Life is hard.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Were there any other movies that neither of us got to?
Oh, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. More that I'm curious about.
Hmm.
Things like Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff
Yeah,
with Anna
I
de
thought about
Armas.
that one.
Yeah. Nosferatu, the
That
new
was on my
Eggers
list.
movie.
That was on my. I just missed it. Wait, who's directing Ballerina? Because that was the only one that I'm like,
Isn't it Les Wiseman?
yeah, that was the only. That's what punted it off my list. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm
That's
sorry, Les.
scary. That's very scary.
That's a problem.
The Fede Alvarez Alien movie. I'm
Mm,
interested to see what that is, even though I really wish it was just Ridley Scott making the third part of the David
me too.
trilogy. But
That's who I'm running up against. Even though like
yeah,
Fede Alvarez on principle, I'm just like, you
yeah,
know what, man? Like we've seen other people try to do Alien, it just doesn't work. I mean, except for Cameron. Cameron's the
yeah,
only person. Like
sure,
even Fincher will tell you it didn't work.
yeah. Although
Even though
I do like
I
Alien 3,
know, but you
but
know what I mean.
yeah,
It's
I
not
know
the
what you
same.
mean though. Yeah,
Eggers, Nosferatu, yes, please.
yeah. Come on, can't
Although,
wait.
although I will say, I'm like, it just occurred to me, like, isn't Willem Dafoe just doing Shadows of the Vampire again? But then again, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't complain one bit for any Willem Dafoe.
No,
Um, but yeah, those are the main three. There's others, but those are the main other three that I wanted to mention.
a couple that I wanted to throw in there. I'm glad you mentioned Godzilla because I had wanted to, but I'm like the trailer just didn't get it for me. It might later. Who knows? But the Fall Guy looks pretty cool with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that looks like a fun action movie. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through these just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Wicked Part One, I'm like a little interested in. I want to see how John Chu does this. The two parter thing is kind of
Ugh,
a problem because I've seen the show,
yeah,
and if you're gonna edit it Defying Gravity, that's gonna be a real problem because it's one of those where it's like a front loaded show, and like I don't really know what the hook is to come back for that.
kill me. I
I
don't.
know.
We
So
need to we need to stop this. The two parters up in advance. You
I
know.
know. Like, man, I know you're calling your shot, but like you can really do Wicked in one movie. In like one
Yeah.
2.5 hour movie. It's possible, I promise you. Especially because again,
Mhm.
the song's gonna fall off after the second half.
Mm.
Like, all the bangers are in the middle or in the beginning. Popular, Wicked, the beginning song. I mean, I do think Cynthia Erivo is gonna be fantastic. Ariana Grande, I'm less enthused on, but I've been proven wrong before and I can be proven wrong again. And
Sure.
I really like what John Chu did within the Heights. So like,
Yeah.
sure, That could be fun, but like this can go off the rails real quick, and Universal can have an exorcist believer-sized egg on their face.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah, I always forget how much they paid for the rights to that. Speaking of this, got the Gladiator 2.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
That's definitely. I need to see a trailer, but I'm listening.
I'm not exactly on the Paul Mescal bus. I haven't loved the things that he's done so far. And it's obviously a movie that doesn't need a sequel unless it's that crazy Fever Dream sequel that had been, written years ago or whatever. But
The Nick Cave one.
yeah, that I'd watch. But yeah, no, I don't know why this is happening, but I mean, it's Ridley Scott. I'll be there for anything he does.
I mean,
so.
the Denzel piece. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Wait, what else have you seen Paul Mescal in? Because I've only actually seen him in After Sun.
That and
I haven't seen All of Us Strangers yet.
I haven't seen that. Have I seen him in anything else yet? God, I guess that is the only other thing that I've seen him in.
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see. Oh wait, he was in The Lost Daughter. I don't even remember him in that.
Me neither.
I like that, but I didn't remember him even being in it. So
I'm curious to see what he does with him in a big scale movie, because it's fun to be indie guy for a while, but I want to see what you can do when you have to be a movie star.
Yeah.
And let me think. Did I have any other major ones that I wanted to mention?
You weren't going to mention Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux?
No. The wild horses couldn't drag me to that movie. I know part of me is curious just because it's going to be like, okay, fine, he's going to be riffing off of New York on this one. Lady Gaga is going to be Harley Quinn, and like, sure, I know there's going to be some kind of reaction out of it, but like, I hated the first one.
I liked it, but I just wish this wasn't happening. But I liked the first one.
Well, it made $1 billion, and Joaquin won an Oscar, and it won for score. So, and Todd Phillips was up for Best Director. So, like, this was gonna happen. But like, oh my god, like, I just was one of those. I'm like, okay, like, this is the movie that was gonna cause riots. Like, this is it. Just
ridiculous.
Like, my brother-in-law really loves it. I'm like, okay, dude. Like, but have you seen King of Comedy? Have you seen Taxi Driver? Have you seen these? No. Okay, I guess that's why you like it.
Well, they should use that reference and go watch Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy. See, that's what we do on piecing it together with the puzzle pieces. We try to get them to go and watch the other ones.
Oh, great! That's a great segue, by the way.
Thanks.
Oh, I also forgot to mention Beetlejuice 2. Just I wasn't gonna make my list. It was one of those I need to see a trailer, and even then, I'm not gonna be sold because comedy sequels, especially after 30 or more years, or even 20 or more years, actually even 10 more years. It's very hard to recapture that magic. And Tim Burton said he wants to go back. He's doing practical. He's working with puppets, which yay, because it seems like him wanting to go back to basics because he can't make it in the studio system anymore, or at least the way he wants to. So, all right. And I want to see if Keaton can still bring it, but like, I'm also just very concerned.
Yeah, I'm more than anything, I'm frustrated that it's a real movie because I don't want all those people that shared fake Beetlejuice 2 posters for the last 20 years to actually be right after all this time. That bugs me. Like, those people were wrong. They were sharing fake crap, and now it's like, oh no, it was real. It was real the whole time, and that bothers me.
I know. I'm like, cool, Jenna Ortega. Good for her for for really being part of the Tim Burton repertory company now.
Yeah,
but I want him to get his fastball back, and I don't know if this is the mechanism for that, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I'll throw one other one in here, and it's not really like my kind of movie. I'm not the biggest animated movie guy, but Orion and the Dark.
What is it?
This is actually written by Charlie Kaufman, of all people.
Wow.
It looks a little Inside Out-ish as far as like, the vibe of it. It's got the voices of Jacob Tremblay, Paul Walter Hauser, and Werner Herzog.
Sure.
And it'll be on Netflix, I think, in February. And I'm not sure who directed it, but Charlie Kaufman wrote it.
That's slightly concerning, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, last time Charlie Kaufman made an animated movie, I dug it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Anomalisa is not exactly what I call rewatchable, but it's a good movie.
It's so depressing. I love it.
Is it also stop or is it like CG? Do we know?
I think it's stop motion, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. You've got me back in, but I'm like the February release thing. I know Netflix doesn't care about that kind of thing, but like I feel like if they had something, they would like make it a Toronto.
Yeah.
Like do what they did with like Pinocchio.
Charlie Kaufman can't catch a break.
Well, yeah, but that's his whole deal. Like, would he honestly want to be successful? I don't think he does. I mean, not that he's not successful, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, though.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I think he'd agree with that. By the way, this is a co-production between Netflix and DreamWorks Animation. So interesting.
Okay. I'm hoping. Look, I always root for Charlie Kaufman. I wasn't a huge. I think what is it? I think this should end, or I think we should. What's it called?
I'm thinking of ending things.
There we go. That was okay, but like I dig his vibe. I get it. I'm not a misanthrope myself, but I understand it.
Yeah.
Like I speak misanthrope, but I'm not one, as far as I know.
I'm still not sure.
All right. Well, looks like we got a pretty good list. I'm sure our list will change when we get to our back end of the year episode in like August, because then we'll see stuff and we'll hear more stuff that's coming out because Sundance is around the corner and South by and whatnot. So I'm sure other stuff will bubble up to the surface. But why don't you plug your show, man? I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Piecing It Together is a podcast where we take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies might have inspired it. And yeah, we've been going on 6 years now, and episode every week, sometimes twice a week, a lot of the times twice a week. But yeah, Chauncey's been on a bunch of times, and we'll have a lot more episodes in the new year. You can find it at piecingpod.com. Follow us on social media at piecingpod. And yeah.
You got anything else to plug, like your music, maybe?
Good idea, because actually, yes, I am going to be in 2024. Speaking of things to anticipate, I'm doing a crazy, ridiculous, ambitious thing called 24 for 2024, where on the first and third Friday of every month, I'm releasing a new single. It'll be available on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services. And these are all like full-fledged songs. None of them are like throwaways or like bonus tracks, anything like that. These are just songs that I just simply didn't have room for on any of my last few albums. And so I've just been like holding on to them, and there was just no room. And now I finally came up with this stupid idea of a way to release them. And so there will be a constant stream of new music, really exciting stuff all through the year. You can find that. Just search my name, David Rosen, on all of the streaming services, or my website is bydavidrosen.com.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year.
Absolutely. You too. And thank you for having me back.
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so thank you for listening to that. Thank you to Chauncey for having me over there on LA Podfidential to talk about our most anticipated movies of 2024. Like I said at the top of the episode, if you enjoyed that conversation, go follow LA Podfidential. That's Chauncey's podcast. I was just a guest on that, but we had a fun time talking about those movies, and I'm sure we'll get Chauncey back here on a regular Piecing It Together one of these days soon, and hopefully we'll do another look forward to some new movies somewhere around the middle of the year. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of these movies in the year to come. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, Awesome Movie Year, and my music career. And speaking of my music career, I think I gave my whole 24 for 2024 thing a plug during the conversation that I just inserted into this episode from LA Podfidential. So this is kind of like an Inception situation. It's like I'm plugging myself here in the outro, and I plugged myself in the episode that was inserted into this episode. But anyway, 24 for 2024. It's a new thing I'm doing on all of the streaming services where I'm releasing a new single on the first and third Fridays of every month. And I just, at the time this came out, just put out The Cure's The Hanging Garden, a cover of that song. The second single will be coming out next week, but I'm going to play that for you right now. It is called Burn, and there will be a music video for this one, so keep an eye out for that. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.